Thank again for being here. It's my sixth year at the St. Moritz Art Master. And for the one who doesn't know me, I am Amedeo Maria Turello, but anyway, people know me here as Amedeo. And I handle the photography during the St. Moritz Art Master events. So, more or less, everything that is related to photography across this year, it's I bring it through my personal contact as a photographer and then also as a photo collector, because when I start my activity of photography in 1999, so quite late, I start in the same moment to collect photographs. So this kind of connection have helped me to establish a lot, I think, very good connection with the world of photography, especially with photographers directly. And I like also the fact that all of them, they never see me as a kind of competitor, or as usually, even it's impossible to avoid that, I mean. But we become very friends because they see me more as Amedeo, the guy who does the exhibition, sometimes who buy their prints and so. And this have allowed me really to establish a good connection with all of them. And I think that across the year, this would have not been possible to the St. Moritz Art Master to have really great names as we had in the past, because many of them, they are busy, many of them, they exhibit in bigger space, etc. And but this kind of friendship and a kind of trust have helped to work together in a very nice project as we did here in St. Moritz. Today we have some of them that are not here because they are traveling, and other because they have a family problem, like Joel Meyerowitz, who could not come. Maybe tomorrow. He's still looking for a plane from New York, but I don't think he will make it. Anyway, but we have with us Steve McCurry, which is already the fourth time here in St. Moritz. Fourth or fifth?
Fourth time, yeah.
Fourth time, yeah. But since next year will be India, the team, we're going to have him again, it's already sure. So and then we have Bruno Hers, which is from Scandinavia. We met with Bruno at the Nordic Light Festival, when it was 2 years ago, I think, something like 2011, something like that. And we established also a good friendship, and it was fantastic. We have Mimmo Jodice, that is, in my opinion, I would say that the Italian photographer, because in terms of photography is really a master. You know, sometimes we use the word master a little bit too much, but he's really the one. And then we have Paolo Solari Bozzi, that is a young photographer in this business, because it's a lawyer who stopped to do his work, and he lives here in Celerina, in close to St. Moritz, and now he dedicates all his life. He wants to dedicate all his life to photography. It's a little bit what I did me, because I started this in 1999. So it's, you know what I mean. At that age, you do things with passion, because you cannot just change like that. It's not like when you're 20 years old that you say, okay, I go to New York following a girlfriend and I want to be a photographer. You know what I mean? When at our age, all this kind of decisions, they're really expensive, I say, in terms of time, in terms of everything for your life. And so he has the courage to do this, which is fantastic. And then we have Liu Hengxin, who was already here last year. He passed by, visit us. It's a kind of friend of Mr. Montishado, of course, and all the team of St. Moritz. And this year, since leitmotif was China, I think that it was around him that all the China project got developed into what you can see those days. He's one of which Chen Fuli with other master that Rainer contact and bring to St. Moritz. Around them, we have created this kind of topic really strong about China. So some of these photographers, they have created something close to the topic of China, other not. So the idea of the exhibition that we presented at the Kempinski at the Survetta, at the Near Alpina, and here also at the Palace in some way, but mostly at the Survetta and the Near Alpina, together with the Kempinski, of course. It's about the title Emotional Moments. I will start with Steve. We're going a little bit like in an order like that, because it's the work that he presented is related to a particular aspect of the China topic, which is Tibet and what happened on those mountains, etc. So I leave you Steve, like that you can explain us a little bit your work, your series of images that you present at the Near Alpina. Okay? Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Amedeo. Thank you for organizing all your hard work. Is this projecting? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, the sound is good because maybe it's a little bit low.
Okay. I was just thanking you for helping organize all this and working with us over the year to get these pictures together. I would say the pictures in my exhibition are primarily having to do with Tibetans
Sorry.
and Buddhist culture. I first went to Tibet about 25 years ago on one of those day in the life projects. This was a day in the life of China. And I requested to go to Tibet. At that time, Lhasa was under martial law. So when we flew into Lhasa, we weren't allowed to go into the city. We had to go to Chigatsi. But I really, from that moment, fell in love with the landscape, the people, the monasteries. If you have an interest in Buddhism or Buddhist culture, the heart of this world is Tibet, in my view. I've been to Bhutan and various parts of Southeast Asia, but really, it's really Tibet's, the epicenter. One of the kind of heartbreaking things about Tibet is similar. I was just thinking about it when you were talking. There's a similarity between what happened to the American Indians in the United States and, with Tibetans. In the States, we had this enormous push from settlers coming in and basically taking over. And in some ways, you have 1 billion plus Chinese that see Tibet as an opportunity. They don't have any ill feelings necessarily for Tibetans, but they've kind of overwhelmed Tibet. In a way, it's inevitable, and it's inevitable. It's a kind of a shame. But the people are so, one of the things which I'm so struck by, and when you look at my portraits, is this innate, intuitive sense of style, and almost sort of, they have this natural flair, and they have a very distinctive personality in the way they present themselves with their makeup and their hair and their clothes. It just absolutely fascinates me. I was in a restaurant in a small town in Tibet having dinner with my driver and my translator, and there was a table of Tibetans, and they have all the hair and the makeup, and they kept looking at me as though I was this strange creature from another planet, and I was looking at them as they're kind of like strange people from another planet with the hair and and that Tibetans can be really outlandish and over the top, and I think it's wonderful. Anyway, so that's one of the things which has really attracted me to Tibet, as well as all the monasteries.
And so it would be nice that Liu will explain us a little bit the evolution of China in the period that, shortly, of course, in the period that they've lived there, and in particular from the first picture of when Mao died, the newspaper, the newsstand, where there is this poster, etc., and until now. And it's really a mirror of how China is going now, And please, Liu. Huh?
Oh, thank you. Speaking of China, is always a very, very difficult subject for me, even though that I have been involved with it for a very, very long time. I went to China when I was 2 or 3 years old, and then left China in 1960, when China, at that time, we didn't we didn't know, but China was experiencing 3 years of extraordinary famine. I noticed that our family home was confiscated. Not confiscated, was in the early 1950s, was nationalized by the communist government. And we have other families that moved into a larger house. But I did notice before I left China to go back to Hong Kong in 1960 that all my neighbors had suffered some sort of a malnutrition, with swollen faces, swollen neck, swollen legs, swollen arms. That's what malnutrition did instead of before it gives out this water content and people just blow up before they shrunk. And that experience, together with the fact that when Mao was alive, he basically had tried to reinvent a society that was 3,000 years old, with the ideology of Marxist-Leninists, which is actually alien to the Chinese civilization. So the idea, the attempt to turn a billion people society into something completely different, it was not only an audacious attempt, it was absolutely mad. So that famine of that 3 years, years and years later, that we read from the Chinese public record of the public security, which is like the police studying of the Chinese people's census. There was sort of in that 3 years, China had a net loss of 35 million people. I mean, census normally go up, but in that 3 years, there was a net loss of 35 million people. And last year, China for the first time came up with a history of the first 30 years of the People's Republic of China. But that version of history had taken Chinese 16 years to write about a history of 30 years. So I want to say this because just to make a point of how Chinese is struggling with their own history. And I think that childhood, without realizing it, later on when I studied in New York and studied under live photographer John Milley, who presented me with this gift of photography, and Milley never really discussed with me about photography. He oftentimes, would stick the pictures that he likes on the wall. And at the end of the day, he would share whiskey with me, and then he would show me those photographs and what he reads into those photographs. So my introduction to photography has always been that photography helped us to look at a society that has to evolve that has to have a cultural context, which has to do with history, which has to do with people, etc., etc.
So we're gonna a little bit leave the China, what we can say, word, the topic, etc. And I would like to introduce you Bruno Hers, which is a fantastic guy. He's here with his wife Yvonne. I would say that Yvonne looks like just come out of a movie of Ingrid Bergman, because to me it reminds me so much this kind of peace and this kind of approach to life that Scandinavian people have, and just a fantastic couple. And Bruno did this amazing story that I think that I understand in deep only now because I'm become father since 1 year and a half. And when he first talked about his project, is called Memories of, sorry, I didn't really understand at the end what was the things. And since I'm father now, and I understand all about this project, that's why I invite him here, because I really become even more passionate of his work. So I would like that he will tell us a little bit more about this project, because this project that you can see at the campaigns is a little bit different of what he usually does, because it's a photographer working also for a commercial, I would say commercial project. So, but it's a very specific project, and I think anybody like him can tell us about. Thank you, Bruno.
Thank you, thank you. As you heard, I'm Scandinavian. I'm a Swedish photographer living in Stockholm, and I'm working as a commercial photographer, but I also have made some artwork for myself, and I've been making exhibitions in a number of museums, and the exhibition I have here is called Memories of, and it has a theme, as you can understand. It's about the memory. And the story is that me and my wife, we are living at Gotland at the summertime, and Gotland is an island between Sweden and Russia. And the island is a cliff. It's a white, enormous, big cliff. And it doesn't look like Sweden at all. It's something different. And one said that if you're once coming to Gotland, you're going to stay there forever. And for me, it was love in the first sight. So today we have a small cottage there, and we're spending all the summers. And I have made a book. It looked like this. And the theme behind the exhibition is the memory. And the theme is not specific for me. I think that everybody has the same experience of the memories. The thing was that when our children were small, and I was sitting in the chair in the garden reading, and they were playing around me, I remember their play was developing memories who I have forgotten. And it was like a flash. And I said, that I remember. I remember feelings. And then I was forgetting it. And then maybe the next day, maybe 2 days later, it happened again. It was their playing, with creating memories of my own childhood. And then I was saying to myself, maybe I shall use my own children as actors, telling them what to do. So I make notes, like small, very small stories that I remember when they were playing like this. And then in 4 summers, about 2-3 days every summer, I was telling them that in 2 days we're going to make our photo session. So every day we made about 5, 6, 7 small scenes, a very short one. And after 4 years, we finished. And the reason for that was that they became too big. The memories I had in my body, and you should also understand, memories is not only in the brain, memories is also in the body.
So we are not talking about, even if the title are Il Soldato, La Tomba, that's, the warriors, etc., they are not something that explain something, they narrate something about death, but about life, because they bring back to life what's going on there. Because when you see this picture, you really have the idea of the noise, of the smell, of what they were doing, these people. And that's why it's the power of photography that is not only a tool that just presents what it is, but have this kind of metaphysical approach. And I think that Mimo is really a master in that, because I would think that he's probably not only the best Italian photographer of all time, but I mean, who have this really capacity of charge of pictures of something who go behind, not only a real or fake representation of life. So, Mimo, probably you talk in Italian and I will translate. Parli forse in italiano, io traduco, forse meglio.
Sì, si sente?
Can you put the speaker a little bit, please? Thank you. Sì, si sente, si sente.
Vi chiedo scusa, il mio inglese è pessimo, preferisco parlare in italiano.
And I will translate. He said that his English is not really, he doesn't like his way to speak English, so I will translate, okay?
Anche perché tutte le conversazioni che facciamo all'estero le fa Angela, mia moglie, per me, che parla bene l'inglese.
So Angela, his wife, is the one who make many speech for him or together with him. So he speak better English, and so usually it's her, but yeah, okay.
Allora, dimmi qualcosa.
So, la cosa che volevo chiederti, ho parlato del fatto che le tue immagini appunto non raccontano di una realtà reale, esplicita, evidente, ma hanno una nozione temporale che va al di là del momento in cui è stata fatta, ma hanno come si può dire, un flashback, oppure sono ispirate al futuro, sono ispirate al passato, eccetera. Quindi hanno un distacco dalla realtà, eccetera. E poi volevo più che altro chiederti, questo è quello che ho detto a loro, appunto questo tuo modo di vedere la fotografia come un mezzo di pensare, non solo come un mezzo di rappresentare. I explained quickly to him that I would like that he explain us how you see photography not only a way to show, but a way to think, an image.
Allora, anche se io apprezzo moltissimo la fotografia di tutti coloro che riescono ad improvvisare, a immergersi nella realtà e tirare fuori veramente a volte dei capolavori, io sono incapace, io devo lavorare su dei progetti.
Okay, he said like that. He admire a lot the people that they are quick and they can shoot things in a way quite fast. He doesn't work like that. He need to work for be happy of what he do, or what he does, to be able to able to think and to work on a project. That's why is like the picture that you see at the Kempinski. They are part of a project. There are many different projects that he put together. Sometimes different, sometimes, but he work with project.
Il problema è riuscire a mettere in queste immagini una realtà che emoziona. Il vero problema è emozionare. Chi guarda una mia fotografia non ha bisogno della didascalia, deve provare un'emozione.
Yeah, he said that mainly is what you want to achieve with this picture, is to provoke emotion in the audience. He said that it's not important for him that the people read the caption, what is about the title. This is not the main things for him, but the main things is that the people get his idea just looking the picture through their emotion.
Non sempre ci riesco.
Yeah, not always it happened, because he say that this is the difficult part of his work, you know.
Un'altra connotazione, devo dire una cosa, che tutte le mie fotografie sono in bianco e nero e sono stampate da me, per cui diciamo il momento creativo non è solamente quello del progetto, è quello dello scatto della fotografia, ma il problema è anche in camera oscura, dove cerco di rafforzare tutte quelle connotazioni che appunto devono essere poi l'emozione finale.
Yes. So he said like that. He also print all these pictures. So it's a moment, the dark room, when he try really to. It's a difficult moment. He tried to push, to accentuate more this kind of element, this kind of key elements that he find in a picture after in the lab, trying to make even more strong and suggestive some aspect of the picture that become able to really to be an expression tool for show you the best that he can do. And we have the pleasure to have with us Paolo, that I was saying before. Paolo was also one of my, let's say, student or ex-student, but he's coming again tomorrow to our workshop. And we met here in St. Moritz last year. And suddenly, okay, I didn't know his work, and then we start to, because with many of my students, I keep regular contact, and they send me pictures and so on and so on. And so I start to see his work and really appreciate what he do. And then he prepared a book that is about Namibia that is coming out now. I think it's ready. We have already the first sample here with some kind of printing default, but anyway, they will be fixed up. And you can see his picture also at the Kempinski. And what is nice is, I would say, his kind of total connection with the dark room, with this kind of, I would say, process of craft that is photography. I mean, also is very fascinated by the old master of the past. I mean, but I was very surprised, being myself a collector and you know what I mean, a fine art lover of fine art photography, of his technique. So he did this project on Namibia that it's an old project that is part of this book. And I think the pictures are very, even if he's a young, I mean, I think that it's, for me, was a pleasure to present his work really, because it's the quality is really, the standards is really, really high. So I will leave him talking a little bit about this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Amedeo. I have 3 concepts about which I would like to talk. It's the 3 A's: Art Masters, Africa, and Analog. This is the first A, which is Art Masters. And again, Amedeo, I would like to join everybody before me in thanking you, because you have arranged things in such a way that they were very respectfully laid out. And so I can say today that I am, you know, the smallest among giants who are around me, people also who haven't come. I'm sitting next to Mimo, which, I mean, it's an icon for me ever. And here I am with my pictures on Africa. Second thing I would like to talk about is the analog way for me to...
Process, yes.
The process, exactly. I don't believe I could be as creative if I did digital. I started 40 years ago when I was 15 with the darkroom as everybody else, but I didn't change to digital. So I always remained with the film, with the chemical process, with the chemicals, with the paper, etc., etc. I have my own darkroom here at 5 kilometers from here, and I believe that black and white can be processed today, even today, only in a conventional darkroom, in the sense that the depth of the blacks, for instance, can be achieved only in a chemical process where you have silver which comes up. More than that, as the result, because we have fantastic results also in the digital world, it's the hobby around it. It's having a darkroom, equipping a darkroom, finding things that have nothing to do with the darkroom, but you use them just to make it work. So it's a whole hobby, and since I have spent in my whole life a lot of time in front of computers, I didn't want my passion to be also on a computer screen with Photoshop, etc. So I needed this as a complement to my very intense work as a lawyer, as a financial guy later, and I have kept this belief. Third A is Africa. Africa, because I lived there when I was a child in Morocco, and as soon as I could, I went back to Morocco. I went back to the northern Morocco, so I did a lot of dunes, of desert with my own vehicle, old Land Rover. And then I decided to go south of the equator, and I went to southern Africa. And with my wife, Antonella, we toured many countries of southern Africa, so that today I can say I don't see myself taking a picture outside of Africa. This is my continent, and I believe that you cannot know the whole world, as maybe Steve can, because he does, but I don't believe I can know the whole world, but I believe I can know better one continent, which is immense, like Africa, and this is my, let's say, my goal.
I thank you very much, and just tonight we will have a party at the Kempinski, and tomorrow we're going to have the workshop. I think that tonight there is a chance for you to see maybe a few of them there. You know, they eventually, if you have some book to sign or things like that, they will be available. You know their face, you know who they look like, so please don't hesitate to come. And for the one who maybe tomorrow they attend the workshop, I just can tell you that it's a beautiful experience, and for the, I think it's 4th time that we do the workshop here, and we'll be we have team of hair models, makeup artists, etc. It's we bring 10 people of team for make these things possible, and thank you again if you are coming. Okay, thank you very much to everybody.